You're listening to the Love Your Neighbor podcast.
Thanks for joining us on the LYNX podcast. Today's episode is brought to us by Kingbird Coffee and Flyboy Donuts. We're sponsored today. Our wonderful guest today is sponsored by the Plain Glazed Twist.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Plain
and twisted. A la donut. So we normally would have two donuts, but between Coach Christensen and myself, one of them disappeared. We will not say who is in charge of making one disappear.
It's a mystery.
We may never know, but we have one left. And so hopefully we can make it through this episode without running low on donuts. But
yeah, we'll be good.
Our guest today, many of you know, Matt Christensen.
Yeah, thrilled to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, tell all of us that don't know you as well a little bit about your family, a little bit about your story, how you got to Brandon. Let's get behind the man.
Great, yeah. Amber is my wife and works at the Paisley Pod and takes care of my kids. I am not home often, and so she does a lot of that, which is wonderful. She and I moved from Sioux Falls in 2003. We went to Augustana where we met, and I had been teaching and coaching at Parker and Hurley for a couple years, and she showed me an Argus Leader article that I could teach at the middle school in the morning in Brandon, and then the Brandon Valley High School in the afternoon. And I had already kind of done that in small schools where you just do whatever you got to do. So I would teach sixth graders, including Austin Sumner, my first year. And then I'd teach all the way up through juniors. Michael Moe was in that first class. I'll never forget, a great linebacker for us in one day. And my kids are currently 15. It's Lily, softball player, loves the discus and javelin, good student, thrilled about that. And Peter's 12 at the intermediate school, loves sixth grade.
What team is he on? Is he on the?
Let's see.
They've got colors, don't they? Like
they've got good colors. Yeah, a wonderful one with Coach Mr. Lochner and Rivers and Van Rokel. Awesome teachers.
Yep, excellent.
We're loaded with them in Brandon Valley schools. And then my daughter's Summer is 8 years old, and May 12th. Looking forward to a sleepover. I'm in charge of making sure I'm in charge of fun. I think. To a degree that night, making sure they got whatever they got to eat, and it's going to be awesome. We live very near the high school, best community ever.
Yeah,
never leaving, no reason to. Just keeps growing. I just love the place because so many people, they don't have to live in Brandon. They want to, they want to be there, and they make the most of their opportunities, which is wonderful about it.
Yeah, you get a perspective on the community working with, teachers, coaches, students. What have you seen in coaching and teaching that has you most fired up about being a part of the Brandon community? I mean, what if you could even boil it down to a story or two about what Brandon means to you and your family? You're a big fan. Could you boil it down to a story?
Yeah, maybe a couple. Just anytime you go to a musical where there's just evidence and proof of the talent and of the opportunities that the young people get, and the boosters and the parents and the community, we could run probably 25 musicals and sell them all out. It'd be taxing on the talent, our high school performers, but it's just incredibly cool to see every single year. Mary Poppins was remarkable this year. That my first year was Annie, or Sarah Hebe, and I believe it was Chase McGrath were the leads, and I just love the musicals, and it's just continuous proof that a lot of us care and a lot of us want to put out the best product for the kids. There have been some dome football games in which we run out and just the roar from the parents, and we've got grandparents there. We've got non-relatives there who just love Brandon Valley LYNX football tradition. It's incredibly cool. Our students, we wave the flag in front of them, and there's little kids there that want to be Lynx, and every single time it never gets old to hear the support and just know that it's there. And as we grow, it's going to be exciting and fun to keep everybody unified and one community as we add 20 classrooms to the high school to say one high school for a long, long time. I think they project maybe 20 years. It's tough to know all the trigger points, but I'm all for that, and I'm all for unification, even though we're one gigantic geographic district.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting that our district was started, it began with two communities coming together.
Right.
And that tradition of partnership and community it's really who we are. We don't know anything else.
No, we don't. Yeah, we don't know anything else other than to get together. And I've heard some stories from some wonderful Valley Springs people where, Brandon went to Valley Springs looking to co-op and to get together and connect. And at one point, Valley Springs was bigger than Brandon. And at one point, Brandon was kind of approaching Garrettson. They're thinking about co-oping there. But, we've got a tremendous group of schools, and we just keep filling them up with wonderful families who want the best for their kids.
You've done a lot of work in your time here as a coach of kind of creating a sense of the past.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that. Why that's important? Do you feel in our in our world now, where everything's at the the click of a Google? Why is it important for you to flesh out history and tell those stories? Why is that important for you as a dad and a coach and a teacher?
I think it's incredibly important, John. Where my dad, Randy Christensen, obsessed with history as well, and obsessed with football players, and having been one himself, he always looked up to the bigger players and wanted to be like them and have their qualities of leadership and responsibility and grit and toughness and intelligence and cooperation and sacrifice for the team. And I grew up on those stories, not just his and his own accomplishments, but the ones of the players he admired. And we need role models, and we need to remember the foundations. Like you've mentioned on other podcasts, if we're on third base, for a reason in Brandon Valley, but we didn't get there on our own. And so I love tradition. I love getting to know Matt Swenson and Jack Lauer, Joel Acid, player Kurt Phillips of the past, guys who have played, and I love celebrating their accomplishments. The Hall of Fame banquet's incredibly fun for me. It's proper acknowledgement of really amazing accomplishments, and the more connected we get, the more I connect with guys like Randy Nelson, who played for the Green Bay Packers. Right. The more people understand the excellence that is Brandon Valley football and what it can do for young men. And I love learning myself. I love reading and writing as an English teacher. And there's always more to learn and more people to meet and connect with. And now that I've, using Randy Nelson for an example, now that I connected with him, and he's more likely to come to some games and feel involved and feel unified. So that's everything for me.
Yeah, you've done some great work on social media and connecting. I know that's a huge connection point for you, and I think there are some of us our age. We knocked heads a few times back in the day.
We did play against each other. That was a blast. You were a wonderful player for NDSU.
Well, you always took us, and I mean you and your Viking crew always took us right to the edge of getting our butts kicked.
We did, yeah. We had a lot of tough guys who, tried to overachieve and just play together. That's the beauty of football. It's a wonderful game, and it makes memories that last in our hearts and in our heads.
Yeah, when I first moved to the area, my first person I met was Shannon Popiga, and he had such an impact on me because I knew his name and I knew he was obviously a star for the Vikings, and then just getting to know him and over the years building that friendship. It's crazy how sports activities that we play for fun can become the foundation of lifelong experiences and relationships.
Yep.
What would you say? Because I want to talk a little bit about the future. We talk. You're kind of you're an English teacher. You've been around a while. Mm-hmm. But what do you see? What would you say? What's the future when it comes to? We've been talking a lot about this wellness center, building this. I mean, what would you say? How do we unite going forward? What's important? How do we bring people together in our community? In the world that we live in. I mean, how do we do that? These are big questions. I can't believe I'm asking these.
Big questions. Persistence and purpose for all, benefit for everyone. The young people have to see a great benefit for them. The old people have to see a benefit for themselves. But then they're also, in Brandon, amazing at passing it forward, anything that benefits the youth. For example, I'll never forget a landslide vote to add on to the school. Other communities it is not that way. In Brandon Valley, I'll never forget the Valley part ever. If we need it, we get it. To serve the students the best and to serve the student athletes the best. And we're conservative. We're conservative in our spending, and that's intelligent, and that's great. And I think people appreciate that and respect that. But again, if it's a need, it gets done, and it has to be established as a need. And I think it is one. The indoor facility you're talking about, and for wellness, and it's a challenging thing, as we all. It's a great book, Omnivore's Dilemma. We can eat anything, so, but what should we consume? And, how active do we stay? And
right.
Sometimes as dads and coaches, we care about the activity of everyone else except ourselves. We did keep that in mind. Just persistence and just the communication is key, and connecting is everything for me. As we grow into Arbor's Edge and down into the Copper Creek Heights, all the way south down there, I want everybody to feel Brandon LYNX. I want everybody to feel that they're contributing and they're heard and they matter and they're valuable. And I think we generally do a great job of that. And there are opportunities for everybody to take and to benefit from, and that's what a real community is. I'll drive into Brandon on fumes to make sure I buy my gas in Brandon.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that if it can be bought in Brandon, that's where I get it. And I think everybody needs to do the best they can in that way too.
Yeah, that's a great message. That's a message. And I don't think a lot of people realize that when you buy Brandon, you're paving the streets. Mm-hmm. You're building the school district. You're doing all those things. When you do it in Sioux Falls, you're building Sioux Falls schools. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, Sioux Falls is our neighbor, but we have to, like you said, we have to choose between two great things. Hey, we live in the Sioux Falls neighborhood, but we also have to make that choice. Okay, in some cases it might not be as convenient for the many people that work obviously in Sioux Falls, but to have that mindset of not buying, but investing locally.
Right. Bingo.
Every time you fill up a tank in Brandon or you buy groceries at Sunshine, you're choosing to invest in the next generation. Mm-hmm. That's a huge message.
Very important.
I want to just kind of close this conversation. I know that you're in a role. I think probably that you're very qualified for as a head football coach, but in the last year, it's certainly not the circumstances that you would have, or anyone of us would have envisioned. Talk a little bit about Coach Garrow and kind of the role that he's played, not only in you as a coach, but also in you as a person and developing you.
Wow, amazing man, and I'm always going to love him, always going to remember him. He's in my heart, and as I do this history and tradition research work, I'm dedicating it to him because I know he was great at connecting people in his own way, never as extroverted as I am, but he always liked that I did it. He liked that I would reach out, and he liked that, if I connected with a student in the school who hadn't played much football before but wanted to give it a go, that we get him on the roster and give him some purpose and give him a cause. And Chad Garrow's amazing. Just huge impact on me as a coach and a man, as a player in the program. Players in the program, you always put them first. He was great at that. He would stop at nothing to make sure our boys had the best opportunity to win and to feel successful. And even if we weren't going to win at any given point in any given game, our boys still felt like they had given it all they could, and that we coaches supported them all we could too.
Yeah.
And that's the real point in competing anywhere. You say you should always apply for jobs, and you shouldn't get every job you ever apply for, type thing. And that's a great look at it. Wonderful family man. He was my role model that way for sure. Great math teacher, great track coach. He'd make sure that those kids felt just like absolute champs, and even if they weren't the fastest or jumping the farthest. And he's going to be in my heart, my mind, my entire life. And I'm just really thankful to have known him for as long as I did.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you mentioning him, because I was planning on it if we hadn't.
Well, it's hard. Grief is. I think sometimes we want to reduce it to a day or an event, but it's a lifelong journey. When you share that much life with somebody, it's not like the grieving ever ends.
No,
because when you lose someone that's that close to you, and to be honest, I mean, as coaches, I know that feeling, that intimacy that you guys had, in the sense of the hours and hours you spent together. There's no one that outside of his family that knew him better than you, even the student athletes. You're with him, and so I think it's important. I being obviously of like many of us, European descent, we tend to hold our emotions much tighter.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to be able to have those conversations and celebrate the memories and the people that have had an influence. So thank you for being willing to do that. I didn't.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm glad to. I cried tears of joy for having known him yesterday at church at Brandon Lutheran, the 150-year church. Amazing. And, tears of joy for having known him and missing him as well. But, and there'd be constant times where his family will miss him on given events as well, but all part of the process, but definite gratitude for having known and loved him.
So what's the forecast? Now we're shifting gears here, but we're going to kind of say, to the next year. You're hitting into the summer now, summertime. What's the forecast? The early forecast for Lynx football 2022?
Yeah, we have excellent potential all throughout our roster. We're losing a lot of guys on defense to graduation. That's exciting for guys to have opportunities to grow into roles. And our powerlifting team won the state championship. That's huge, hugely important. And our track team's looking good. So when those things work out, that it helps to contribute to a good football team with strength and speed. And got quite a bit of experience. Mike Zur is a wonderful offensive coordinator. He and I have been talking constantly about how to proceed and what best to do, and got a great camp schedule ready for the summer for all the way down to third grade to get the kids really excited about Lynx football and excited about activity and being involved. And it happens to be football. It's really a lot more about belonging and independence and mastering your craft as best you can. If you're going to do it, you should try to do it really well. So camps help with that, and we got some fun team camps ready for our varsity. And that those show a lot where kids have developed and how they've grown. And Coach Garrow always used those for evaluation purposes and just trying to get everybody in the best roles in the best interest of Brandon Valley football.
Yeah. Well, you guys had a great season last year. It was cool to watch that march, and
fun.
We'll be cheering you on.
Thank you very, very much for that.
All right, Coach, thanks for taking time. We'll see you maybe another podcast. We can talk more about football.
Sounds good.
Thank you for joining us on the Love Your Neighbor podcast. The purpose of the Love Your Neighbor podcast is to build community one conversation at a time. You can help us build that community by sharing the podcast on your social media channels and rating our podcast on whatever platform you're listening from. Another way is to let us know of any neighbors who have a story. Go LYNX!